The rain had been falling since dawn, thin and steady, washing the streets as if trying to erase old footprints. When the black luxury car finally stopped in front of the small, weathered house, the man inside did not move right away. His hand rested on the door handle, trembling slightly, as 5 years of silence pressed heavier than any storm. This visit was not about wealth, pride, or forgiveness anymore. It was about one moment he could never undo, and one gesture he hoped might finally speak where words had failed. Before the story unfolds further, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel if you believe in kindness, quests, and second chances, because stories like this remind us that it is never too late to do the right thing. The man was named Jonathan Reed, a self-made millionaire from the United States whose success had been built on long hours, sharp decisions, and unrelenting drive to prove himself. He had once believed love could wait, that apologies could be postponed, and that silence was safer than vulnerability. His ex-wife, Grace Reed, had been the quiet center of his life before everything unraveled. She was deeply Christian, gentle in spirit, and the kind of person who spoke less but felt more. When they divorced 5 years earlier, it was not because love disappeared, but because neglect slowly starved it. Grace had asked for attention, presence, and understanding, but Jonathan had heard only interruptions. Meetings mattered more than dinners. Deals mattered more than prayers. When Grace lost their unborn child late in pregnancy, something inside her shattered, and Jonathan, consumed by business and grief he did not know how to express, pulled away instead of closer. Their marriage ended not with shouting, but with unbearable quiet. After the divorce, Grace stopped speaking to him completely. Jonathan tried to move on. His wealth multiplied. His name appeared in magazines. His house grew larger, yet emptier. Every success felt hollow, because there was no one to share it with. Late at night, he would sit alone, remembering the woman who once prayed for him before every business trip. Over time, guilt replaced pride. He learned that money could buy comfort, but never peace. Grace, meanwhile, had retreated into a smaller life. She moved into her childhood home, took a modest job at a church-run community center, and learned to live with the quiet again. The loss of her child and marriage left her emotionally muted. She rarely laughed. She rarely cried. Her faith remained, but her voice withdrew inward. She did not speak about Jonathan, not even when people asked. Silence became her shield. 5 years passed without contact. The decision to visit her came after Jonathan attended a funeral of a former colleague who had died suddenly. Standing beside the grave, Jonathan realized how fragile time truly was. Regret terrified him more than death itself. That night, he found an old box of letters Grace had written during their early marriage. One letter ended with a line he had never truly understood until then, about love being an action, not a promise. He knew he could not change the past, but he could still act. He did not come with flowers or apologies rehearsed. He came with something far more personal. When Grace opened the door that morning, she froze. She had imagined this moment many times, but never believed it would happen. Jonathan looked older, heavier in the eyes, stripped of the confidence she remembered. He did not step inside right away. He simply stood there, holding something carefully wrapped in a small cloth. Grace said nothing. Silence had become her language. Jonathan walked past her slowly and placed the item on the old wooden table they once shared meals at. He unwrapped it gently. Inside was a small, worn baby blanket, delicately stitched with faded blue thread. It was the blanket Grace had made for their unborn child, the one Jonathan had packed away without ever asking her what it meant to her. For 5 years, it had remained in his private safe, untouched, a reminder of the moment he failed her the most. Jonathan then did something unexpected. He knelt down, bowed his head, and placed the blanket into Grace's hands, not asking for forgiveness, not demanding conversation, not defending himself, just returning what never should have been taken from her heart. That single gesture broke something open. Grace's hands began to shake. Her breath caught. The silence she had carried for years cracked under the weight of grief, finally acknowledged. Tears streamed down her face, not loud or dramatic, but deep and releasing, as if her soul had been holding its breath all this time. She sank into the chair, clutching the blanket, and for the first time in 5 years, she allowed herself to feel seen. Jonathan stayed on his knees, eyes lowered, letting her pain exist without interruption. Minutes passed. Then Grace spoke softly, her voice fragile but present. She did not speak of blame. She spoke of loneliness, of praying alone, of losing not just a child but a partner at the same time. Jonathan listened, truly listened, without correcting or explaining. For the first time in his life, he understood that love was not proven by provision, but by presence. Their reunion did not magically heal everything. They did not reconcile that day. But something far more important happened. Grace's silence ended. Jonathan's arrogance finally died. Two wounded people began to stand on equal ground again. Over the following months, Jonathan visited regularly, never imposing, never rushing. Sometimes they talked. Sometimes they sat quietly, reading scripture or drinking tea. He supported her community work anonymously, refusing credit. Grace slowly regained her warmth, her laughter returning in small moments. Healing, they learned, was not loud. It was patient. Near the end of this story, if it touched your heart or reminded you of someone you lost or hurt, please like this video, share it, and subscribe to the channel. Your engagement helps stories of compassion and redemption reach more people. And just before we close, please comment below if you believe a single sincere action can sometimes heal wounds that years of words never could. In the end, Jonathan did not measure his greatest success by money or status, but by the moment he finally learned to kneel instead of stand tall, and Grace learned that silence can end when someone finally listens with their heart.